So we're just going to have a look at the academic poster presentation. So first thing is, what is an academic poster? An academic poster is a graphic and textual method of presenting information. An effective poster balances the content, information and the layout and how the information is presented. Okay, now an academic poster should make sense when it's read in isolation, and I would suggest you make your poster A3 or A2, and remember to use headings, subheadings, body text. This will show you what it is on this particular poster. So the heading there is Gill Sans 28 point, subheadings Gill Sans 18 point, and the body text is Calibra 16 point. Gives you a rough idea, and this slide is set for A3, but I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So you have a poster which looks something like this, but I hope you'll come up with far more innovative and prettier looking ones than the one that I've got. And also you will have a poster and then you will talk about it, and then you do a 5-minute talk. You introduce yourself and your poster. You expand on the content within the poster because you're not going to say everything on the poster. You go into detail, so you might do more strengths and weaknesses. We'll look at it in a minute. And you might also consider alternative methods, other approaches. And then in the conclusion, which you will have on your poster as well, we should look at that in a minute, you reflect on assessment types and methods and how you can develop your practice. You'll then have questions of up to 10 minutes. Your assessor will ask you questions which relate to your poster and the learning criteria. So, learning criteria for this module, or this unit, this assessment are 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. Explain the purpose of types of assessment used in education and training. Describe characteristics of different methods of assessment in education and training. Explain how different assessment methods can be adapted to meet individual needs. Compare the strengths and limitations of different assessment methods in relation to meeting individual learner needs, and compare them given examples from your own teaching. You'll also need, as well as the poster and the presentation, just to submit your notes, so it's worth keeping track of those. So we might look at some different content to remember in those. So for like the first one, we might look at assessment types and their purpose. We might look at examples of each type with a practical example and situation where it's going to be used or has been used. Advantages and strengths, and how you could adapt an approach to cater for learning needs. What could you do for an essay, for example, of a timed essay? For a dyslexic person, they might have a longer time, or they might be allowed to have somebody to copy edit it, whatever. And then also remember on the poster that we are having to pay attention this time to spelling, grammar, use of subheadings, and relation to the criteria. So your poster must, and the presentation, between the poster, the presentation and the notes, you must achieve those 4 learning criteria. And don't forget, you're going to need some references. So what I'm just going to do is take that away because that's going to be used later on. So what I'm going to do is actually I will pull this back just as a brief example. So title, how to, what is it about? Introduction, what is the poster about? Your setting, your potential setting, your teaching. You might define assessment or use a definition and cite or reference, and note the types of assessment here. What does this one say down here? It's the same thing. Good. Depth. So instead of having depth, you might have a explanation of key content. You might look at the purposes of assessment and underpin that with references, citations. Content. So now how you do the content is a bit up to you, but like if there's 3, you might have initial, summative, formative. You might have your 3 examples across here. Introduce it, bullet points for key parts, sentence to conclude, or you might use sentence and small paragraph and bullet points, or even add images, which is a good idea. So you might have what type it is, what it's aligning to, how does it work in action, what were the advantages and what were the weaknesses of it. And then you've got 3 there, and then you've got your conclusion, which is reflective and ideas about enhancing assessment in your workplace going forward. Yes, I think that probably covers that. Remember, you don't need all of the content. You're going to have your key notes, key introductions, because you're going to talk about it as well. Right, so now, if I just take that away, what we're going to do is just have a go at constructing a poster. Now, I've got some shortcuts coming, but I will go through it. So the first thing is, and this is in PowerPoint, is hit the design option and go to the slide size. So the slide size, you've got these, standard and widescreen, but you've also got custom slide size. And in this particular case, I'm choosing A3. For this, I would suggest only A3 or A2. I'll give you the measurements for A2 if you're interested in it. And then choose either portrait or landscape. Either is fine. I'm using landscape on my one. Okay, now then, format the background. So you can come over here, you can put a gradient fill, and you can even change the colours of this, the presets, so green, yellow, and you can change the direction to come from the side of the screen. You could go with a pattern fill, which look a little bit weird, and you can even change the colour of those. Or you can go with a texture fill. There are certain ones. I'm going to go with a sneaky lazy person's option. I'm going to go with a picture source. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a picture from my own computer. Let's have this one here. Could have anything. I could have that, and then that becomes the background. And note, I've also got this transparency bar, so I can change that. So I can just ease it out a little bit so it's not dominating. Okay, so there we go, there's one there. Now then, I want to put a title in, so I can insert a shape. I'm going to insert one of these, just pop it across there. Now I can change the colour of that shape. As you see, it's on here at the moment. If I click off it, I'm on the background. When I click on the shape, got the format shape. If that's not there, then I can right click and go format shape. So leave it maybe as a solid fill, but I can change the colour. Let's go with a little bit of pale green here. And once again, I can alter the transparency. I can also with the shape options, I've got all kinds of funny things I can play with, including the size, position, and text box. But I'm just going to leave it like that. Line, I can put a solid line around the edge. I can make that a different colour. I'm going to make it a really dark green, and just move myself out of the way a minute. And I can change the width of it. So. And there we go. Now, I just want to insert some text. So, insert text box, drop it in there somewhere, and type away. In this case, this is the title. So, make it large. Okay, so I better make that large. I'll change that up to 28. I might make it, choose a bold something. Let's have, ooh, that's a bit weird. Let's have that one there. I can change the size of my text box, you see, just by dragging that along. Now, you're also going to need to include your name on your poster. I think that's my name. It was last time I looked anyway. Off. I might not make that as big because, you know, if it's rubbish I don't want people to know it's mine. Okay, now then, obviously if I move one of those, the other one stays where it is. So what I can do is click on one, so it's highlighted, hold your shift button, click on the other one, let go. In the home section, click on arrange, group. Now that is just grouped, so I can, wherever I move it, it goes as one thing. Lovely jubbly. Okay. I might, you might have a logo for your workplace, and if you just got that lying around somewhere, and I've got one on a different slide, copy, I can just copy and right click, paste, and I'll drop it in there. I'll put one in there just because, I might get told off if I don't have a logo on it. It doesn't really matter, but there we go. Fits in the space quite nicely. Great. Okay, so now I want to start adding some content on them. If you remember, we're looking at like introductions and depth and then some content. So in my particular case, I'm going to same thing here, but what I can do, what I'll do is I'll create another shape, insert shape, do the same type, pop it on there. I'm going to change the color. I can also do this at the top whilst it's activated. So up here, shape fill, let's go with a little bit of this. Now I can also, with the shape fill here, I can change this transparency again if I so want. And then I can just insert a text box, ploppity plop. Okay, so this is going to be a introduction. I'll make that subheading, for example. There we go. Yeah, that's okay. And I can also just drag this to fit the shape a little bit better. I can center the text, left, center, right. Where we would justified, it looks really strange on the poster. Okay. And then I can type away, but in this particular case I'm just going to steal. So rather than typing it in, I'm going to be lazy and I'm just going to cut and paste it. Well, if you've already made your notes and you've got the text somewhere, why wouldn't you cut and paste it? Okay, and then I can alter that shape. Okay. Right, so instead of typing in there like that, what I could have done was do this, copy and paste it from my notes, come over here. Okay, so there's my title, and here's my introduction. I didn't link those, so once again, hold shift once I've selected that box, then select the other one, arrange, group. You can also arrange by sending things to the back and bringing them forward. So if you've got if this text, for example, was pale, so I'm just going to take the text and make it white. Take the box, make it not transparent at all. And now if I take the text and I send it to the back, it disappears because it's now behind the box. I click on the box and I go bring forwards. Oops. What I'll do is I'll because I'm on the box, I'll just send the box backwards. There we go. And then it sort of is that easy, and obviously I can reshape, and when I reshape them, sometimes if the text goes underneath, I just need to go and find the box and then just adjust it, and I can pull the text back up like so. Okay. I'm going to cheat, take this from there, copy, paste. In that case it only copied the box. Obviously I probably hadn't done these. Then I go get my text from wherever I put it, and just paste it in there. I'm going to keep its formatting, so that's how I had it in the other place. Now I could change that if I wanted, but that looks okay. I can change the size of the box again, like so. Let's just go and get the text. Because I just put the text in, what I should have done was inserted a text box and then put my text in the text box, keeping its formatting. So now I can move it around in the text box. Go. I could change the colour of the text. I might make that really dark blue, and I might click on the shape, format the shape. It's over here again. If it wasn't over there when I click on the shape, format shape, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make the colour of the shape a little paler, and I'll just make it slightly more transparent. Okay. I can insert images. Now I could just click on my poster anywhere on there and come up to insert up here, insert a picture, and it's going to ask me, do I want to take it from an online image, a stock image, or my device. Well, if it's my device, here's some I've got. Oh, look at that. Click, insert. There he is, with a nice bit of Socrates on there. Never know when he'll come in helpful. I could, if I've got them on my computer, just drag them over, so, and then resize. When you resize an image or text or something, always resize diagonally. If you go lengthways, then you'll stretch the image unless you really want that approach, because you get some interesting things. Like White Castle isn't supposed to look like that at all, and I can just delete it if I don't want it. And then you just repeat those sort of steps. So here's one I messed about with earlier, and now the White Castle I've actually got as the background, and I've got all of this content on here. This text looks a different one to everyone else because everything else I've chosen Selexiad. So I'm just going to highlight that text. There. Yeah, so highlight that text and change it to Selexiad. There we go. Now I can say, oh, I've made my text a bit bold just so it stands out. And there we go. If you are going to choose an image from the internet, then a really good practice is to use Bing Images, because the great thing about Bing Images is once you've chosen something, so it's on a map of Welsh castles, why not? Oh, strange things going on here. I can go with the filter and choose. Oh, that was strange. I wasn't expecting that. Let's go. Oh, images. Sorry, images. Choose the filter, license, and I've got free to modify, share and use commercially, free to modify and share, and that will mean that any image that I click on, I don't have to worry about the royalty images. So if I wanted Raglan Castle there, I'd be fine, or Harlow Castle here, and Caernarvon, Cardiff Castle, one of the only two shall keeps in Great Britain. Then I'm fine and quite safe. Obviously, in this case, those are all my own images, so I'm fine. I could put author's own images if I wanted to. Right, then, well, there's some information here. So where did I get that information from? Well, I got that information from Cadu. It's not 2019, it was 2015. I can make those just a little bit smaller on a poster. It's okay. And then obviously I would have to put that over. Yeah, I put the full reference down here. So can do. White Castle. And obviously I put the title of the book. I just put the title of the book when I get it. That's why it's a good idea to cut and paste your text from somewhere else. Cut and text your text from somewhere else, because that way it's a lot easier to put your references in. So there we go. I had it then. So there we go. Now, what would be a good idea is if I got things like this, I could just name them. So insert, I'm going to insert text this time. I just pop it under there. So that is King Edward I. Not the nicest chap in the world, but we won't go into all of that. And I could do, well, I've got that. What I can just do is copy it, go paste with the destination theme, come over here, because that is me hitting the wrong button with my big fat fingers. And that is White Castle. Interesting here, White Castle, and you see this one here looks a bit similar. It's not the same castle. I just take this and drag that over there, because that is Wicklow Castle. So, and then I got little headings on my poster. So, and that is creating an academic poster. I could talk about this, or I could talk about this. I could give the introduction, the background, influence, construction, whatever. But it's the same kind of approach. What I could also do is, because I've got, oh, look at that. I'm getting in trouble for that. That's not correct, is it? Okay. Castle. Okay, well, I could even, see, now I've gone and found them, so I could start making it a little bit bilingual as well, which would be nice. Do that across the whole poster. There we go. So we've got, so have your text on one thing and then just cut and paste it over. Because, so then I would therefore need to change that to match my style. There's another little trick, hopefully, if I can remember it. See, influence. Use destination theme. Source is what it is. Picture, don't do that because it does it text only. So if I go with destination theme, it now puts it in the right font. It didn't put it in the right font. Oh well. There we go. It's not too much effort to change it over there. I can, because it just altered that slightly, and then just jiggle it around. So, no excuse to not have some Welsh on your poster. Good idea. Take your text, maybe make some notes, pop them into here, and then that will make a world of difference. Now then, trying to think where we might have some notes for this. I wonder if we can find some and work on them together. So that's basically it. So if we just come back to this one. So title, how to do it. Don't forget to introduce yourself. You don't have to have a logo, but if you do, introduction, what it's about, depth, explain the key content, sentence, so sentence intro, bullet points, sentence to conclude, references, conclusion. And that's it for this video.